My God, Ben, you're so attractive.
I'm blind.
See, that was not my reaction when he started yelling "I'm blind" in the show. I was like, "Oh, I did not just start
and
laughing my ass."
no one was laughing.
I'm blind. He starts laughing his ass off. Shit, you're right, kid. So we're talking about Daredevil. There you go.
Woo!
Speaking of attractive men, Charlie Cox is good looking.
Jeez, yeah, that is
He
one
looks like
attractive
he knows
man.
movies.
And based on the movies he's been in, he doesn't know movies because No Way Home sucks, right, Chad?
It's terrible. It's the worst movie I've ever
It's
seen.
awful.
And it's so bad that we'll never talk
It's
about this
so
podcast.
bad, Cruz. Absolutely terrible, Cruz.
Cruz wants to be on the Minecraft episode of this.
Honest, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed. It's Minecraft. Like, what do we
get
expect?
him in there.
Yeah,
he's good looking, and we know enough movies to make up for his dumb shit.
I know. He's lucky he's attractive because there's nothing going on in terms of movies.
Oh my God, he's basically like one of those fucking Miss America models. You ever seen that video of the woman who's like, why can't Americans find America on a map? She's like, I think the education is like the way like the thing is set up. I was like, oh my God, it's a good ass video. Daredevil. Oh man, yeah. Freaking, there's a lot to talk about. Actually, I want to start with this. If we're talking about Daredevil, I'm gonna tell this story. I was watching Hawkeye for the first time, which I think is a really good show. A nice little Christmas show with Haley Steinfeld, and of course, Jeremy Renner. And of course, spoiler, I don't care. You should have seen it by now. Kingpin is in Hawkeye, Vincent D'Onofrio, and I remember messaging Ben about it. Ben had been saying I should watch Daredevil for a while. I hadn't seen it. But I messaged Ben about Kingpin. I was like, this film's actually pretty cool. From that point on, for the next, 5 days, if I said anything in any group chat, Ben was jumping down my throat, like, you're a fucking idiot. You need to go watch Daredevil. He literally said to me, he's like, Dad, this is all your favorite shit in one show, dude. Like, this is so you, it's ridiculous. So I actually, listen, and Ben's done the same thing before. I actually went to hate watch it and, was great. Ripped this shit to shreds. And funnily enough, Daredevil is my favorite show that I've ever seen.
Yep.
This son of a
Funny
bitch.
how that works. The world goes around. I tried to hate watch. Was it Warrior? Is that what it's called, right?
Yep.
I tried to hate watch your favorite movie. And shit, I was crying at the end, you son of a bitch.
He FaceTimed me afterwards. He's like, I don't like that I'm not forgiving you for what you said about whatever movie I was talking about. No Way Home. He hate watched my favorite movie because I was shit talking No Way Home. And he FaceTimed, he's like, it's not okay that you're being mean to No Way Home, but you were right about Warrior, so fuck you.
Yeah. No, the Warrior's great.
But Matt, Daredevil is crazy good. I don't even know where to start. Let's start with this. We like action. Boy.
Yeah, there's definitely some action in there. Yeah.
It's got that big, long one shot of him just taking everybody out and saving the kid. And that's just every action scene in this show is great.
I feel like every single episode, there's one, at least in season 1, there is one shot that you could pick out of the episode and just be like, damn, that was shot perfectly, and the fight choreography was amazing, you know?
It was so good, bro. It's all pulled back enough. It's not cut to pieces. You can see everything that's going on. It's all really intense.
Everything builds up really good. Really good. It's slow, but it's good, you know?
Yeah, I've seen the show a few times now, and still, I get on the edge of my seat. I know exactly what's going to happen and when, and I still get on the edge of my seat. This is why I haven't seen Invincible or anything, because I've just been watching Daredevil. But yeah, action is great. I don't even know where to start. Characters, all right? Freaking Charlie Cox as Daredevil. And the thing is, it's covering ideas that have been done in a million superhero movies. Even we're going to talk about, we're going to film an episode on Sonic, and it's there was some stuff about this in Sonic 3. It's why you can't act like this? Because then you're just as bad as the bad guys. That's been done a bazillion freaking times. It's never been done anywhere near as good as in Daredevil. Where I'm going to bounce around from topic to topic here because this show kind of boggles my mind a little bit. But there's the whole episode. I think it's called Nelson v. where Foggy finds out who Matt is. If you haven't seen Daredevil, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to spoil everything and go out of order.
It's been years.
And
Yeah,
all shit.
no.
Foggy finds out who Matt is. He's Daredevil, and they have like the whole episode is them like talking and other stuff going on, and them talking, and they're both making very valid points. Like where Matt goes, "Listen, Foggy, the first time I did it, all the times I do it is because of this. Is because this dad was abusing his daughter in a disgusting, horrible way, and I beat the shit out of him. And then he stopped. He never hurt his daughter again." And Foggy looks at Matt and goes, "Good, that's great, Matt. But the part that you're not mentioning is that maybe you are doing the right thing, and maybe it is about like helping people, but it's also probably more about you just want to fucking hit somebody and you want to take your anger out on people." And Matt basically admits to that. And it's so a million freaking movies, a million shows, like, and obviously Matt is Catholic, which kind of adds to it, and it's the only. That conversation is beyond the scope of this podcast, but it's kind of like that's his morality through how his morality is set up and how he views it. It's like, is this what God would want me to do moving forward, or will I be damned for acting this way? But it's a really interesting dichotomy where you have him in the beginning, and then like halfway through, you have like this switch of lines where he tells Wilson Fisk, "I'm going to kill you," and Wilson Fisk goes, "Take your shot." And then Wilson Fisk is saying to him in the last episode. And it's like, well, it's because in the last episode, it's fully about, it is inarguable at that point what Matt is doing and why. It's for the good people. Maybe that's that part of him still there that wants to hit people, but now Foggy could not possibly have a counter argument because Matt is like, this is what it is. All right, I'm going to help this person to stop Fisk or we lose. So that's it. And in the beginning, he's like, you're not the same as Fisk, certainly not, but it's close. Your morality's close enough where like, I'm doing this because I'm mad. I'm going to beat someone up and I'm going to kill him. At least at his downfall. When Fisk is like loses his like, I'm gonna help the city, he's like, no, I'm just a bad intent that I'm gonna fuck people up, and that kind of leads to the end of him. Oh man, there's so many little things. Ben, you talk for a while.
I know.
I've been going for a while, but
no. So I really like how they kind of. I love villains who think they're right. I think some of the best villains believe in what they're doing. I mean, one of the best villains in terms of Marvel is Thanos. Probably the best villain, and he 100%. He's like, look, I don't know what else to do, to cure like suffering, world hunger, whatever. So I'm just gonna wipe out half the universe. Not a good way to do it, but he believed he was doing it the right way. And I mean, I just think it's so hard to say that Vincent D'Onofrio, this is his best performance because Vincent D'Onofrio is a legendary actor. I mean, Full Metal Jacket. Before Daredevil, Full Metal Jacket was the best thing that I've seen him in, and that was like an elite performance.
Yeah,
I can't think of Vincent D'Onofrio anymore and say, okay, that's not Wilson Fisk, that's Vincent D'Onofrio. It's Wilson Fisk, and there's nobody else that has ever said, oh, this could be Fisk. I haven't seen anybody that's like that, Charlie Cox is someone that throughout the seasons that kind of unraveled is this is the one and only Daredevil. I didn't really see that in season 1, but I think that's how much like character development they did because they didn't want to fully say, this is Daredevil and Charlie Cox is going to be Daredevil and the only Daredevil, and we're not going to let you see anybody else if we ever cast anybody else as Daredevil. Ben Affleck as Daredevil is just funny. I just need to mention that.
Yeah, that exists.
But, that does exist. Deadpool, Wolverine. Thank you for bringing Jennifer Gardner back,
and not Ben Affleck.
Not Ben Affleck.
They could not afford him. There's no way.
But no, I think the development over Matt Murdock, like for season 1, is my favorite. Over the 3 seasons, there's not a lot of shows in general that fully show you the final product of what they're aiming towards for the whole season. And what I mean by that is, like, you don't see Daredevil until the last episode of season 1, right?
Yeah, like the last 10 minutes. Yeah.
You don't see him at all pretty much through the first season, and that is special, because we're connecting with Matt Murdock, we're not connecting with Daredevil, and that's almost unheard of.
Yeah, that would be really bad if like almost any other
Yeah,
show did it. If you're like, this show's called
yeah,
Daredevil, and Daredevil's only in it for 10 minutes, like, oh, bro, it's all about
yeah.
Mattville, man. It's all about Foggy and
Exactly.
Karen.
Matt Murdock is Daredevil. It's not the other way around, you know?
Yeah,
And
it's not a
that's kind
Batman
of
Bruce Wayne situation.
exactly. It's like the Tony Stark Iron Man, you know? Like there's no Iron Man without Tony Stark, you know, but there's like the suit doesn't make up Tony Stark, you know, stuff like that. It's just the way that they just developed like the whole season and finally said, look, this is our guy. And it fully set up the next two seasons. Um I also like it's like they keep pushing like shoot, what am I trying to say? The little guy, you know, against the big guy. They keep pushing that narrative, you know? Like it's like there's no way out. There's no way out. It's Wilson Fisk. It's fucking Wilson Fisk. Like what are you gonna do?
Dude, I love when
And
shows can do that. That's like one of my
yeah,
favorite things is when you feel like it's hard to like. There's so many movies and so many shows that like it's just in the back of my head. It's like, yeah, they're gonna win, like take them out. Like some shows and some movies can make where it's like, are you gonna do this? Another great example show of that is like is Stranger Things. I feel like every season of Stranger
yeah,
Things, I've like going to the last two episodes like, how are you guys gonna fix this? Like
hmm
this seems like this seems hard. And then it's like, but the thing is, it doesn't feel like cheap. It doesn't feel like how'd you overcome. It's totally organic because Wilson Fisk is a great character. He's talking about Vincent D'Onofrio. He's absolutely, and you're talking about a guy who was in a Full Metal Jacket. This guy was in Men in Black. Like
yeah,
this is a guy
yeah.
with he's got a nice career. All right, he is a
Hey,
great actor.
he was solid in Jurassic World. The movie was just okay, but he was
Yeah,
solid in Jurassic World too.
I actually really like that movie.
And I like that movie too.
I
Yeah.
know it's bad, but like I could get into it.
It's
But he's
rewatchable. Yeah,
yeah, he's such a good character because like on like one end he's scary and he's like intense and he'll kill people, but on the other hand he's sensitive and relatable and he's not very good with Vanessa. He's not very good with women in general.
yeah,
There's a part he like looks at the painting and says he's alone, and when those two worlds are separate is when he's the most successful. When they start coming together is when it all falls apart. And that's how it does fall apart at the end, is because Matt starts putting pressure on his organization and they're dealing with it reasonably smoothly. And you remember later in the season, people come up to him and be like, hey, Leland is like, hey, this is you're ever since this woman has come in, you've been falling apart. And as an audience member, you're like, well, that's bullshit. That's not true. And then you think about it, it's like, well, actually, it is true. I mean, if we think
yeah.
about it, he was at that dinner with Vanessa, and the Russian guy comes in, pisses him off, and he takes his head off, which pisses off the Russians, which leads to that organization, hurts his relationships with everyone else, causes Nobu to go ape shit. People, Madame Gao and Leland try to kill Vanessa to fix it, and all the time that's putting pressure on them. And a lot of things happen, and it does a great job of like showing like they're gonna get Wilson Fisk this time. Oh, he got out of it. They're gonna bring him into light. Oh, he just comes out ahead of it and says, "I'm running for mayor" or whatever. Oh, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. Oh, they get up. But what you don't see as an audience member until the end is that these are big deals that are happening, and he's just barely dodging and evading them. And eventually, it's just the right perfect storm at the perfect time that was gonna
He
happen
catches up
eventually.
to it. Yeah,
Like he
yeah,
keeps making mistakes. He kills Leland. They can't get to their guy in time. Matt and Foggy find him, and that's a wrap, son. But still feels like it's hard to beat it. Oh man, we might go for a while here.
yeah.
The crazy thing is this might be my. I'm gushing on this show right now. Like I am totally on my knees for this show right now, and it like might be my least favorite season of the three. I'm not sure. I need to rewatch season
Really?
two. It's possible. I remember saying season three was my favorite, but I need to. It's been like a few months,
I
so
think
I need
yeah.
to go watch it again.
Me personally, in terms of complete seasons and how it should be done, I think this is one of the best seasons of a superhero show I've seen. In terms of like every single like it hit every single point, hit every single feeling, and it didn't rush anything. Like you went at its pace, you know. You're not like okay, let's move along with this. No, it moves slow. Like,
Yeah,
but
really.
it was fine. Like we're not
But what work?
complaining about
The
the
reason you
pace.
can do that is because the writing is just so, and they do this super well in season two when they bring in the Punisher. But
Yeah,
like the dialogue is great. Like so much of the show, it's a legal drama. It's not a ton of time in the courtroom, but it's like talking about the law and stuff. A lot of it is just people sitting around and talking, and the whole time you're on the edge of your. It's something you do again. It's something you do not do in movies and shows. You do not show your main character superhero until the last 10 minutes. You do not just have most of your show people sitting around a table and talking. But the dialogue is so well written, and the acting is so well done too. So like with Foggy, a lot of his dialogue, if you just read it on the page, is like sounds stupid and so it sounds weird, but the way he delivers it makes it sound like this big, dramatic, ridiculous guy, and you totally buy it. And it makes, again, that episode of Nelson B. Murdoch, it makes that episode so much better when he's like, because it's also full of flashbacks of him and Matt when they were in college, and you can see how Matt is clearly hiding part of himself, and Foggy is just gushing and sharing all of himself with Matt. And then, like, you get to it, and Foggy's like, "Are you even blind? You can see, right?" And Matt's like, "Nah, but you can see." And like, you think about it, I was like, you know what? Foggy's right. For all intents and purposes, Matt can fucking see. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like, it is like his whole world. He's a totally different person. His whole world's being torn down. Matt's always talking about we got to use the law. Matt's been beating the shit out of people behind the scenes. Like, come on, bro. Dude,
It's such a good idea too, because it is a lawyer who's taking matters into his own hands, but his partner is not like his partner's like, by the law, we're gonna do this the right way. Matt's like, look, I'm gonna find people who deserve it, and they're gonna get what's coming, you know. So it's a perfect setup, you know. It's the perfect way to start the show.
Yeah, and the way like it starts, like Matt and Fisk kind of start at opposite ends, and it's not exactly the same, but like Fisk is like, I'm gonna help this city in my own twisted way. I'm gonna tear down all these shitty low income apartments, and
Yeah.
and I'm gonna build up nice housing. I'm gonna get rid of crime. I'm gonna help people that way. And to fund it, I have to do drugs and like prostitutes and weapons and a lot of other things that aren't necessarily good.
But for the greater good,
they're
for
a
the greater
necessary evil, right? And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm gonna help the city. And Matt's like, this city took my dad from me, which is a whole other heartbreaking thing. Like that episode, like,
I know. Yeah, yeah.
where like his dad is like, I want to show my son we're Murdochs. We get up. We're gonna work hard. I'm gonna literally, for the first time, win a fight, and I know I'm gonna get killed for it. And I'm gonna get all this money for my kid, so that he can live a better life. That's a whole other thing. But like Matt feels like this city took my dad from me, and on some level he's trying to help people, but he's also like he wants to take it out on Hell's Kitchen, that they are evil and they're bad and they took his dad from him. And like by the end you flip it around. Now Matt has spent a lot of time with Karen. He spent a lot of time with Ms. Cardenas. He's met Ben Urich. He's met a whole bunch of people who are good and worth protecting, and who he's worked to help through the law. And Fisk has seen just like everyone leave him, everyone fuck off, everyone say, "Oh, you're like this, I hate you, your mom is this way," right? And he's like, fuck this city. And it turns around, and that's...
Yeah. I also got to applaud them. They took a long time to really introduce Fisk, and then we finally like connect with him, you know. And that's just to like applaud them for going at their own pace. Too many people try to rush things because they don't think that the audience will like it. This show was like, look, whether you like it or not, we're gonna do this the right way. And more shows need to look at Daredevil as well. Season 1 especially. Season 1 might be my favorite. It might not be the best, but it's my favorite just because of how it's done, like the way it's done.
It might be my least favorite. But like I watched it, like, did I say this is my least favorite? This is insane. Yeah. And like so many things of the way things are shot and the way the script is set up and the way cameras turn, like there's a lot of credit given to like, you know, Oscar level movies where like they shot with this particular lens. They use this as a metaphor for this. And a lot of the time that shit fucking annoys me. And the reason it does is because it's nothing to do with like the story or anything. It's like you know what it is? It's a director jerking off. It is a director masturbating onto the film and being like, look how cool I am. There's a bunch of stuff in here. There's a lot of symbolism, like with lighting on the shadows, or how it'll set up a certain scene and then subvert your expectations, Ryan Johnson. Or like a drop will fall into a napkin. But all of it serves the story. All of it is communicating information about what a character is thinking and feeling and helping you better understand. If I was to think about problems with the show, like, I guess like you could argue that the stick episode disrupts the pace slightly. I guess you could
Yeah.
argue. Like I think I remember
Yeah,
one of
we're nitpicking here. Like this is
Foggy.
we're nitpicking.
I am
Yeah.
beyond nitpicking. I'm like digging in
Yep.
the corners of the room trying to find like a speck of dust. I before this episode, I thought hard about this, and I was like,
Yeah. There was
well,
if I have to say anything, I think there was a couple, and this is just again, we're prying into the part that we're like Foggy and Karen's actor and actresses, or actor and actress, I don't think are as talented as Charlie Cox, if that makes sense. But I think some of the lines they delivered were really good, but there's just a couple of times where they just didn't deliver how I expected them to deliver, if that makes sense. And I'm really trying to have something to talk about because this season's damn near perfect,
the thing is, it's like, and it's only that, and not that they do a bad job. Just Charlie Cox is stunning.
He is like, there's levels, and Foggy and Karen are great, and there's a reason why because they shot the Daredevil Born Again, they shot 6 episodes with that, because then they're planning on doing it without Karen and Foggy,
dude.
And they shot 6 episodes, and then funny enough, Charlie Cox said this doesn't feel right. We need Karen and Foggy in this show, and so they completely scratched the whole thing, and then they rewrote it, or they added Karen and Foggy into the script, and then they shot it. And I mean, you have to give credit to the actor and actress of Karen and Foggy, because they didn't recast them. It was the same people, and they did such a good job. And they clearly have chemistry, the 3 of them, So it's like they are good. It's just applauding how damn good of an actor Charlie Cox is. Like,
yeah, it's
jeez.
true. You really do like them together. Like, I remember, like, I watched a scene in this show. I was like, I'm so glad that they're coming back. It was the scene where, Foggy's like, they're all sitting at the table, and Foggy goes, why did I become a lawyer again? And Matt goes, to make lots of money. And then Karen, like, chuckles.
Yep.
I was like, okay, dude, if you didn't bring these 2 back, I would be, dude, I was watching Daredevil so much over, like, Christmas that my parents thought I had a problem. I was seriously, like, but yeah.
And what's funny, I didn't know Karen in anything, but Eldon Henson, I think that's his name, Eldon Henson. The only thing I'd seen him in before is the Mighty Ducks. I don't know if you know he was in the Mighty Ducks.
I know he was in Mockingjay.
Did you know that? No, he was in the Mighty Ducks.
What kid was
he? Was the enforcer. He was the enforcer. He was
really?
the kid that kept hitting people, like the bad boy.
My ass was that Foggy.
No,
that was Foggy?
I promise you. That was Foggy, I promise you.
What?
The kid who was always making trouble and then finally joined the hockey team, Yeah, that's Foggy. Yep. That's the only thing I had noted seeing him in, but
yeah. And then he was one of the people who couldn't talk in Mockingjay. I knew that. Not that movie's good, but
what a big step up, though, dude.
We didn't even talk about Karen. Karen is like, it's a whole other perspective on it, because she's like, you find out very quickly that Karen is a person who gets fucked by the system, almost straight up murdered, almost blamed for murder, and then almost straight up murdered, and then is protected by Matt. And then Karen is like, they offer her an A to say, hey, by the way, we're going to give you this much money to never talk about this and not get us in trouble. She's like, fuck you. Watch this. I'm going to go and get everyone to talk about this. And everyone's like, I'm not going to talk. Ben Urich's like, I'm not going to write about this. They're like, we're not going to publish it. And she's like, why? And what she doesn't figure out, and what you figure out as an audience member, is that Karen has, and they built this out in later seasons, especially season 3, Karen doesn't really have anybody. Karen's got Matt and Foggy. And eventually Miss Cardenas. And then, so it's hard for her to really imagine as much of, having real people to lose. Because when she's put in that room with Wesley and he has the gun, he's like, you're going to start doing what we want, and you're going to say that you were lying. And she's like, I'd rather die. And he looks at her and goes, oh yeah? Well, you're not going to. Ben Urich's going to die. And then Nelson and Murdoch are going to die. And then, then you start understanding, where everyone else is coming from. It's like, Karen is very courageous and willing to die, certainly. But she doesn't really have as much to lose as everybody else that can be used as the weapon. And it's a crazy statement of how brave Ben Urich is, and he meets his eventual fate to be like, yeah, I'm going to come do this. And also, I remember that the news guy gets a redemption in the next 2 seasons, but my God, fuck that guy. My God, fuck that guy. He's
I like how they did his redemption story, and I also like the certain characters in this show. They were like, yeah, the audience is gonna hate this character, but just wait until we make them love this character.
Well, I
And
hate
then
him.
it's just that's how you know this show is so good because like there's many characters in season 1 and 2 that you're not supposed to like, and even season 3, there's a couple that you end up liking by the end of the season or the end of the show, you know?
Yeah,
But
I
personally,
hate
I
him.
think in terms of like development and how I felt at the beginning versus how I felt at the end of season 1, it might be my favorite character, you know,
She's
in
up there.
season 1, in terms of season 1. Now, in terms of the show, it's foggy and it's no one else argue with the wall. But in
Apart
terms
from
of like
that, of course.
development, how we saw Karen in the first episode versus how we saw her in the last episode of season 1, Karen's up there.
Yeah,
I think Charlie Cox's, or I think Matt Murdock. I started liking his development more in season 2, which they kind of dove more and more into his past in season 2 than any other season. You know, they
yeah,
dove in season 3 as well,
a little
but
bit.
in terms of development specifically, Karen's probably my favorite character of
By the
how
way,
the way she did her.
and that's how you do setup in a good way. That's not like, well, I mean, again, you can argue this episode, whatever. That's, by the way, that's still a good ass episode. And Stick is still a
Yeah,
great character, and you still get more good information about Matt. And you still get great action, and you still get great dialogue. It's like again, even nitpicking the little things, like it was still fucking awesome. So I can't even complain.
yeah,
But with Karen, like that's how you do setup in the right way. Like at the end of the thing where Matt's like, "What's wrong, Karen?" And Karen goes, "Yeah, we got him, but Mrs. Cardenas is still dead, and Ben Urich is still dead." And a lot of people that Wilson Fisk killed are still dead. So I'm not going to be like, over the moon. Like, yeah, we got him, but like it's also a function of her PTSD about killing Wesley, which sets up the Grey seasons really well. It's a good end to this season, but it also helps the other seasons without being like. There's so many times again in movies, in TV shows where I see something like, oh, that's just you're doing that so we can have another movie. Great, Transformers
yeah,
One. But it's just like, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
By the way, I love
Yeah,
Transformers One, but like it's still like I was
it's
like,
great. I watched it on the plane again. Badass Tron.
That's right. Yep. Keegan Michael
But
Key,
no,
what a guy.
it was the perfect way to set up. I mean, like you're not even setting up, you know.
Yeah,
We're not even looking at it as oh that was the setup.
yeah,
No, that's just storytelling, you know. Like
yeah.
I
It's like
wouldn't
an
even
Iron
call it
Man
setting
one.
up. But if there's if there's a story there, you're gonna keep telling the story and you're gonna hint because
Yeah,
the best storytelling is when you call back to what you already said or what you already showed. Where you keep calling back. You say, "Oh, remember we mentioned this? Well, this is why we mentioned that," you know? And it's like, we'll get into more when we talk about season 2 and 3, but there's so many connections that you make as the audience that you're like, oh, shit. It's like, that's what makes the show so great, man. And
yeah,
rewatching season 1 is like, when you already know what's going to happen, it's even better than watching it at the beginning, you know?
yeah.
Because
Because there's so many little things, dude.
originally I think season 3 was my favorite season once I finished the show, you know.
Yeah.
But rewatching season 1, I'm like, season 1 might be my favorite, honestly, you know, because of
Honestly,
like
I'm so ready to watch the next two seasons. I am
yeah,
ready to jump for joy. I'm so happy to watch it
season. I
again.
mean, every
I love
season's
this show.
good, you know.
I
I need to
love this
rewatch
show.
season 2 again.
Yeah, I'm gonna see
Um,
it again. I'm watching
I
Invincible right
watched
now.
season 3 when I originally watched it. I watched 1 and 2. And then I think I started 3 and then I took a break. But then I recently finished season 3 like a couple years ago, like 2 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, same.
So I took a little break. So season 3 is more fresh in my mind. So I need to rewatch season 2. But rewatching season 1, I'm like, this is why I quickly, because I watched season 1 and 2 like immediately when it came out within like a week because it's so easy to binge, even though it's long, you know? And
Yeah, that's the
it's
thing. You
slow,
just
but
get
it's easy
so
to binge.
invested.
There's not a lot of shows that are like that, you know?
Yeah, there's not a. Well, I won't say that, but like it's inappropriate. But it's like, dude, man, this show is. I wish I could communicate to you how much I love. But honestly, if you've gotten this far, we've spoiled most of the show. If you haven't seen it, but what the fuck's wrong with you? But go watch it
Yeah.
anyway, and then go watch season two
Yeah.
and three because there's a ton of other
And then
amazing
rewatch it
things.
again.
honestly, you won't have a problem with doing it. Like it'll be so good. All right, Ben. What are we talking? You got anything else to say?
I'm good with that. I'm excited to talk about season 2 and 3.
Yeah, we're gonna watch season 2 and 3. What are we talking about next time, Ben? We're here 2 weeks in a row. That's crazy.
I know. What are we talking about next time?
Sonic.
Sonic, maybe Nosferatu, but we'll
Maybe
see what happens.
Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Ben, you are good. You're good looking.